Hi everyone, my name is Steve Lillyston and you're tuned to our library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the folk at the libraries from all around Wairarapa to let you know about some of the many new books coming into the library in the coming months. And also I'll be talking about some of the services and programs that the libraries are offering everybody. Now, our library, this program, is being broadcast to you today on Arrow 92.7 FM, your community access radio channel, and also on Wairarapa TV, Freeview Channel 41. This program is broadcast live at 3:30 p.m. on the third Friday of each month. I should know that. At 3:30 and repeated on the fourth Friday again at 3:30. So let's get started. First up, we'll have a word from our sponsors. These are the libraries from all around Wairarapa. Now we've got for all libraries, don't forget they're now open. We're at, that's a good question. Are we at red or orange now? Red, I think, aren't we? Anyway, we're open, but it's the usual masks and the time spent in the library should be limited to 30 minutes. You will need to show your COVID pass if you're visiting any of the South Wairarapa libraries, but it's not necessary to do so if you're visiting the Marston Library. There are no more overdue charges at Wairarapa libraries. This is a big deal. So if your book is overdue, don't panic. Try to get it back as quickly as you can, but there will be no fines, which is nice. Now, all libraries, you may or may not know, all libraries in Wairarapa throughout the Wairarapa are now on the smart library system. And that's the system that combines there's like 30 libraries in the lower North Island, and they're all connected up. So if your book is not available here, it'll be maybe in Porirua or Lower Hutt, and it will get transferred overnight. It's a wonderful service. If you need any help getting set up onto the smart library system, just pop into your library and have a chat to the lovely people there. They're only too willing to help. Now, specifically for the Masterton Library, because some of the libraries have different programs, the Masterton Library, they're saying that masks, I've sort of gone over that, masks must be worn, you must sign in, 1 metre distancing should be maintained, but again, you're not required to show your vaccine pass. For latest up-to-date information about COVID in your area, check the Marston Library's Facebook page. Now, some of the programs that the Marston Library have on offer, one is called The Gathering. Now, The Gathering is a conversation group where you can meet others and chat, talk, share, make connections. It's just a community get-together thing. That's every Monday from 1 till 2. That's The Gathering. Now, the other thing that Marston do is Lego. The Lego play is back all day, every Thursday during the summer holidays. Come out and build your own Lego creation. Also, join us every Saturday for family story time from 10:30 to 11 a.m. And that's at the Marston Library every Saturday, family story time, 10:30 to 11. There's a wonderful new service available. It's called Beamer Film. It's a new streaming service available to holders of a Marston Library card, which, don't forget, is free. Doesn't cost you a thing to become a member of Marston Library. You download the app Beamer Film to your device, set up an account using your Marston Library account number, and you can watch a variety of movies and TV series. It's a wonderful service. And it's free, which is even better. You can now access the Marston Library itself using our new library app, available to download from Google Play and the App Store. By searching Marston District Library, the app gives you access to your account, digital resources, reserving, renewing items, and lots of other features. So download it today and give it a go. I do all my reserving of books and checking up what books are available and so on. I do it all online. It's a fabulous service. So that's the Marston Library. Now, the Wairarapa Library Service, that's the 4 libraries in South Wairarapa, which includes Carterton, Greytown, Featherston and Martinborough. The first one is the Village Robot. Comes to Greytown Library for a Creative Technologies Workshop Wednesday, February 23rd from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Come build your own art bot, whatever that is. I'm sure if you know what an art bot is, then this might be for you, with a little tin foil and coding. Kids of all ages are welcome, and their parents too. So that's the latest thing, isn't it? Village robotics. It's great for young kids to get into that. So pop along. That's on Wednesdays. That's on Wednesday, February the 23rd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. The Wairarapa Library Service is also offering creative writing classes. They're back. They've done them before, very successful, very welcome. The autumn session will help you write the stories of your life into personal essays and poetry. Classes are free. Again, it's all free, it's all community, it's all for the community. It's online and open to all. The Wairarapa Library Service now offers a click and collect service, just like buying groceries online, only you're clicking and collecting books. See their website for more information on that. The Evening Book Club. So this is an online book club. You meet via Zoom. It's very good. I'm a member. That meets on the first Wednesday of every month online. This coming month, March 2nd, which is the first Wednesday, we'll be discussing Free by Lee, if I pronounce this correctly, Ypi, Y-P-I. A new memoir about coming of age amid the fall of communism in Albania. So it's very different. I'm looking forward to reading that. I start reading that today, actually. The Morning Book Club. There is a Morning Book Club as well, which is new to me, which is interesting. That meets on the last Wednesday of every month at Carterton Courthouse for a friendly cuppa, book recommendations and friendship. That sounds like a really nice, fun chat group. Get together and chat about books. That's the Morning Book Club, last Wednesday of every month. I didn't get a time for that, but if you check with your library, they'll be able to, or Carlton Library, they'll be able to tell you. Anyway, for more information on any of those and all the rest of the programs they have there at the Wairarapa Library Service, pop along to any branch or visit their website, wls.org.nz. So that's all the programs at all the libraries. There are more, but that's just a smattering of some of the programs available. So finally, and this applies to all the libraries, don't be afraid to quiz your librarians on any questions you have. They're there to help you. So if you need any help at all, don't feel shy, pop along. They're very approachable. They're all very helpful, very nice librarians. And don't forget, there's always something at your library, so keep checking the Facebook or website for details on what's coming up. Okay, so let's move along to the books being introduced into the libraries in Wairarapa in the coming months. And this is, as I say this every month, but just so you know, this is only a selection, just a smattering of some of the books available that come in every month. And there are hundreds, literally hundreds of new books come in every month. So I've gone through and just checked out at random, picked some of the books that might be more interesting, but a cross-section of books, hopefully. So first up, we'll look at the fiction, new fiction coming in. This is called Anthem by Noah Hawley. Something is happening to teenagers across America, spreading through memes only they can pass, P-A-R-S-E. At the Float Anxiety Abatement Center in a suburb of Chicago, Simon Oliver is trying to recover from his sister's tragic passing. He breaks out to join a woman named Louise and a man called the Prophet on a quest as urgent as it is enigmatic. Who lies at the end of the road? A man known as the Wizard, whose past encounter with Louise sparked her own collapse. Their quest becomes a rescue mission when they join up with a man whose sister is being held captive by the wizard, impregnated and imprisoned in a tower. That sounds very different. That's Anthem by Noah Hawley. Now, Noah Hawley is 55 years old, lives in New York, is an American television director, producer, and writer for TV and film, who created and wrote the FX television series Fargo, great series, and Legion. I'm not aware of that one. Hawley earlier worked on the television series Bones, The Unusuals, and My Generation. And this is his 5th novel. So that's Anthem by Noah Hawley. I know the name. I don't think I've read any of his books, but I do know the name. Now this one is Beautiful Little Fools by Gillian Cantor. This is interesting. To me it's interesting. A powerful reimagining of The Great Gatsby from the perspective of the 3 women whose lives are unravelled by one man's romantic obsession. On a sultry August day in 1922, Jay Gatsby is shot dead in his West Egg swimming pool. To the police, it appears to be an open and shut case of murder-suicide, when the body of George Wilson, a local mechanic, is found in the woods nearby. Then a diamond hairpin is discovered in the bushes by the pool, and 3 women fall under suspicion. Each holds a key that can unlock the truth to the mysterious life and death of this enigmatic millionaire. Daisy Buchanan once thought she might marry Gatsby before her family was torn apart by an unspeakable tragedy that sent her into the arms of the philandering Tom Buchanan, Jordan Baker. Daisy's best friend guards a secret that derailed her promising golf career and threatens to ruin her friendship with Daisy as well. Catherine McCoy, a suffragette, fights for women's freedom and independence, and especially for her sister, Myrtle Wilson, who's trapped in a terrible marriage. Their stories unfold in the years leading up to that fateful summer of 1922, when all 3 of their lives are on the brink of unravelling. Each woman is pulled deeper into Jay Gatsby's romantic obsession, with devastating consequences for all of them. I love that concept of taking a well-known book and sort of reworking it from a different angle, and that's what Gillian Cantor's doing here with Beautiful Little Fools, reimagining The Great Gatsby from a different angle. So Gillian Cantor was born and raised in a suburb of Philadelphia. She earned a BA in English from Penn State University and an MFA from the University of Arizona. She's the author of best-selling and award-winning novels for teens and adults, and this is her 11th novel, Beautiful Little Fools by Gillian Cantor. Next is slight diversion, but all the books in the library, there's such a diverse range of fiction and non-fiction in the library, and this is no exception. This is Chai Time at Cinnamon Gardens by Shankari Chandran. Welcome to the Cinnamon Gardens, a home for those who are lost and the stories they treasure. Cinnamon Gardens nursing home is nestled in the quiet suburb of West Grove, Sydney, populated with residents with colourful histories, each with their own secrets, triumphs and failings. This is their safe place, an oasis of familiar delights, a beautiful garden, a busy kitchen and a bountiful recreation schedule. But this ordinary neighbourhood is not without its prejudices. The serenity of Cinnamon Gardens is threatened by malignant forces more interested in what makes this refuge different rather than embracing the calm companionship that makes this place home to so many. As those who challenge the residents' existence make their stand against the nursing home with devastating consequences, our characters are forced to reckon with a country divided. Chai Time at Cinnamon Gardens is about family and memory, community and race. But is ultimately a love letter to storytelling and how our stories shape who we are. It's Chai Time at Cinema Gardens by Shankari Chandran. Now, Shankari Chandran is an Australian lawyer and author of Song of the Sun God and The Barrier. Song of the Sun God is being adapted for a 6-part TV series. As a lawyer, she specialises in law reform, program management and community development. As a writer, her work explores dispossession, cultural erasure and connection. I always find it fascinating where the background of these authors, because for years I assumed that authors, that's what they did. But 99 times out of 100, they come from completely different careers. And this lady is no exception. She's a lawyer. So that's Chai Time at Cinema Gardens by Shankari Chandran. Next is Clouds on the Horizon. This is by Penelope Janu. When Phoebe Cartwright finds Sin Torreson, a naval officer and meteorologist, frozen half to death in the middle of a thunderstorm, she believes she's saved his life. Sin, unfailingly competent and infuriatingly arrogant, disagrees. In Phoebe's small country town, to track down the members of an illegal horse racing syndicate, the last thing he needs is to become entangled with Phoebe. A much-loved member of her community, the prickly and independent Phoebe is used to solving other people's problems. So, when she learns her younger sister could be implicated in their father's dishonest accounting for the syndicate, she insists on working with Sin to uncover the truth. Sin is both confused and entranced by the passion of Phoebe, and in spite of her resistance, Phoebe finds herself drawn to him. But Phoebe is determined to protect her sister above all, and the secrets she cannot tell Sin threaten to sweep his investigation and their romance. Way off course. With clouds billowing on the horizon, can Phoebe and Sin weather the gale and find in each other a shelter from the storm? Good question. If you read Clouds on the Horizon by Penelope Janu, you'll probably find out. Now, Penelope Janu, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, has 6 children, rapidly growing up, and 2 large dogs. She lives on the coast in Sydney. She had a long career as a solicitor, again, legal academic before her debut novel, In at the Deep End, which was published in 2017. This is her 4th novel. That's Clouds on the Horizon by Penelope Janu. Now, if you just tuned in, my name is Steve Lillyston, and you're listening to Our Library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the lovely people at the libraries all around Wairarapa, to let you know about some of the new books being introduced into the libraries in the coming months. Excuse me. So here's some more fiction. This is Cry Wolf. This is by Hans Rosenfeld. Hanna Wester, a detective in the remote northern Swedish town of Haparanda, finds herself on the precipice of chaos when human remains are found in the stomach of a dead wolf. Hannah knows that this summer won't be like any other. The remains are soon linked to a bloody drug deal that went down just across the border in Finland. But how did the victim end up in the woods outside Haparanda? And where have the drugs and money gone? Hannah and her colleagues are soon caught up in an increasingly complex investigation. But time is scarce, and they aren't the only ones looking. When the secretive and deadly Katja, 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 shows up, unexpected and brutal events start to pile up. In just a few days, life in the border town is turned upside down, not least for Hannah, who is finally forced to confront her own past. So this is Cry Wolf by Hans Rosenfeld. And it's got a name, this. And what is it called? It's... I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's a style of writing, and it's all about Sweden, Denmark. I just can't remember the name of it. But this is Hans Rosenfeld. He's a 50-year-old Swedish screenwriter, radio presenter, novelist, and actor. He co-created 2 TV series in Sweden and created the Scandinavian series The Bridge and ITV Netflix series Marcella. Both very good series, very popular. Scandinavian noir, that's it. Like Joe Nesbo and various authors like that. And that's Cry Wolf by Hans Rosenfeld. New name to me, I've never heard of Hans Rosenfeld. This next one is The Fields by Erin Young. Some things don't stay buried. It starts with a body, a young woman found dead in an Iowa cornfield on one of the new family farms, still managing to compete with the giants of big agriculture. When Sergeant Riley Fisher, newly promoted to head of investigations for the Black Hawk County Sheriff's Office, arrives on the scene, an already horrific crime becomes personal when she discovers the victim was a childhood friend, connected to a dark past she thought she'd left behind. The investigation grows complicated as more victims are found. Drawn deeper in, Riley soon discovers implications far beyond her Midwest town. This is Erin Young. This is The Fields by Erin Young. Now, Erin Young lives in Brighton, England. She writes historical fiction under the name of Robin Young, and this is her debut crime thriller. So again, that's a bit different. Interesting. This is The Frog Prince. The Frog Prince by James Norcliffe. Why did the princess throw the frog against the wall? A novel about a disappearance, searching for love and the power of stories. A disappearance. An infatuation. The Frog Prince is an intriguing, multi-layered novel giving us a story within a story within a story. We might recall the kiss between the Frog Prince and the princess, but not necessarily the part where the princess angrily flings the frog against the wall. What was that all about? At an international school in France, the young teacher, Cara Bernstein, gives her explanation in a novel. She's been writing about the Brothers Grimm. It doesn't seem relevant to Cara's own story and that of her New Zealand boyfriend, David Cunningham. But when Cara disappears, will David be able to put the stories together to understand what has happened? And will any of the princesses and frogs be united happily ever after? Very interesting mix of themes and, as I say, novels within novels. It sounds fascinating. James Norcliffe is a 75-year-old Kiwi, lives in Greymouth. He's a novelist, short story writer, poet, editor, teacher and educator, as opposed to a teacher. His work has been widely published and he has been the recipient of a number of writing residences. So that's a good old Kiwi novel. That's The Frog Prince by James Norcliffe. Not a name I'm familiar with, but there's all sorts of authors I don't know. That's one of them. Interesting story, though. The next one is Good Rich People by Eliza Brazier. For fans of Parasite and Ready or Not, a destitute woman pretends to be someone else and moves into the lower floor of a Los Angeles duplex and inadvertently becomes a target in the twisting game of the wealthy family upstairs. All out of money and friends' couches to sleep on, Demi is desperate. Lucky for her, a stranger presents her with the chance of a lifetime, a new identity, and the downstairs apartment in a secluded Beechwood Canyon duplex. Unlucky for her, the couple upstairs is wealthy, bored, and in need of a new plaything. What starts as another round of the game the couple play, where they move a self-made person into the apartment and compete to make them lose everything, quickly devolves into chaos. Because Demi isn't clueless and she's spent her whole life just trying to survive, we all know this game can only end in one way. Winner takes all. So that's Good Rich People by Eliza Brazier. Now, Eliza Jane Brazier is a young author, screenwriter and journalist. Her debut novel, If I Disappear, was in 2021, last year, in January last year. Is about a true crime fan who turns detective when her favourite podcast host goes missing. She's authored 2 young adult novels under the name Eliza Wess. She left her heart in London, lives in Los Angeles, and is most likely to be found in the woods. She is currently developing If I Disappear, that's her debut novel, for television. So that's Good Rich People by Eliza Brazier. See, what an incredible variety of fiction that they... And that's just a smattering of the fiction that is coming into the library in the coming months. Okay, at this point I'll take a small music break, and when we come back I'll be letting you know about some of the non-fiction being introduced into the libraries in the coming months. So right now, if the technology works, this is Chris Isaak singing Two Hearts.
No stars in the sky. The night seems so dark around you. You won't say a word, and wonder why no one's found you waiting for love, praying for love again. Love's a heavy weight. Give it to me, don't hesitate. Love's a heavy thing, too heavy for one heart to bring me your love. Give me your love again. It's not your fault. One heart can never win. It takes 2 hearts. 2 hearts just to hold love. 2 hearts. 2 hearts just to hold your love. Your love. And if your heart should ache, remember me. And if your heart should break, 2 hearts, 2 hearts, they can mend it. Heartache, heartaches can be ended by love, by love. Love's a heavy weight. Give it to me, don't hesitate. Love's a heavy thing, too heavy for one heart to bring me your love.
Hi, welcome back. Or if you've just tuned in, my name is Steve Lillyston and you're tuned in to Our Library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the lovely folk at the libraries all around Wairarapa to let you know about some of the books being introduced into the library in the coming months, and also to talk about some of the programs that the libraries have on offer, especially for you. Now, early in the program, I talked about some of the new fiction being introduced into the library. So this part of the program, I'd like to talk about some of the non-fiction. And again, I'm just doing a smattering of the non-fiction being introduced because there are hundreds of books introduced each month. So this is just hopefully a cross-section of that non-fiction, which I hope you'll find interesting. First up is the 10-10 Diet by Sarah Di Lorenzo. Diet books are very popular, and this one is no exception. Now, created by clinical nutritionist Sarah Di Lorenzo, the 10-10 Diet, is a talking about food. The 10-10 Diet is a 10-week meal and exercise plan aimed at helping you lose 10 kilos and keep the weight off in the healthiest way possible. The 10-10 Diet not only outlines an easy-to-follow 10-week program to lose 10 kilos, but it goes behind the program to explain the science and logic that we use to create it. Devised by clinical nutritionist Sarah Di Lorenzo, the 10-10 Diet outlines the factors that contribute to weight gain and how to eliminate or respond more effectively to them. The roles played by stress, lack of sleep, unhealthy food options, mental and societal roadblocks, and other factors are explained in layperson's terms. And Sarah draws from both her own experience as a single mother of 3 and those of her clients to demonstrate methods to overcome obstacles standing in the way of weight loss. Rejecting the notion of fad diets, Sarah has crafted a manageable, achievable program aimed at people with busy lifestyles who will feel the benefit of a new commitment to their health by the conclusion of the 10-week program and have the knowledge and understanding to maintain their new habits in the future. So, as we said, Sarah Di Lorenzo is a qualified clinical nutritionist with over 20 years' experience in the wellness industry, who is dedicated to overhauling the health of her clients. As well as running a successful clinic in Sydney's inner city, Sarah is a regular public speaker and media nutritionist, well known due to her appearances on Channel 7's Sunrise and Weekend Sunrise. That's in Australia. A single mother of 3, Sarah is also an avid exerciser and firmly believes in the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. So that's not just a fad diet program. This sounds to be really well thought out. This is by Sarah Di Lorenzo, the 10-10 Diet. And she's a clinical nutritionist with lots of experience, well thought of. So that would be an interesting book if you're interested in dieting. Next up is Stolen Focus, subtitled Why You Can't Pay Attention. This is by Johann Hari. Now, why have we lost our ability to focus? What are the causes? And, most importantly, how do we get it back? For Stolen Focus, internationally best-selling author Johann Hari went on a 3-year journey to uncover the reasons why our teenagers now focus on one task for only 65 seconds, and why office workers on average manage only 3 minutes. He interviewed the leading experts in the world on attention and learned that everything we think about this subject is wrong. We think our inability to focus is a personal failing, a flaw in each one of us. It is not. This has been done to all of us by powerful external forces. Our focus has been stolen. Johann discovered there are 12 deep causes of this crisis, all of which have robbed some of our attention. He shows us how, in a thrilling journey that ranges from Silicon Valley dissidents to a favela in Rio where attention vanished, to an office in New Zealand that found a remarkable way to restore our attention. Fascinating book. Johann Eduard Hari is a 43-year-old British-Swiss writer and journalist. He's written for publications including The Independent and The Huffington Post, and has written books on the topics of depression, the war on drugs, and the British monarchy. Good combination. Johann Hari is the New York Times best-selling author of Chasing the Scream, The First and Last Days of the War on Drugs, and one of the top-rated TED Talkers. TED Talks are wonderful. If you've never heard of TED Talks, look those up. They're fabulous. Stolen Focus, Why You Can't Pay Attention by Johann Hari. Next up is Another Bangkok. This is by Alex Kerr. From the author of Another Kyoto and Lost Japan, a rich personal exploration of the culture and history of Bangkok, and an essential guide for anyone visiting the city. Alex Kerr has spent over 30 years of his life living in Bangkok. As with his best-selling books on Japan, this evocative personal meditation explores the city's secret corners. Here is the huge traffic-choked metropolis of concrete high-rises, slums and sky trains, but also a place of peace and grace. Looking afresh at anything from ceramics to Thai dance, flower patterns to old houses, Kerr reveals one of Asia's most kaleidoscopically complex cities. Another Bangkok will delight both those who think they know the city well and those visiting for the first time. Now, Alex Kerr, the author of Another Bangkok, is a 63-year-old American writer, antique collector, and Japanologist. Didn't even know there was such a thing. Winner of Japan's 1994 Shincho Gaguki Literature Prize. So that's Another Bangkok by Alex Kerr. Next up is The House of Gucci. You may know that title. This is by Sarah Gay Forden. Originally published in 2000, it chronicles, but it's new to the library. I guess I hadn't had this book before. Originally published in 2000, it chronicles the roller coaster ride of Maurizio Gucci from Gucci's leather shop in the early 1900s to the InvestCorp takeover of the multi-million-dollar corporation in 1993, and Maurizio's 1995 murder by his ex-wife. On the morning of March 27, 1995, 4 quick shots cracked through Milan's elegant streets. Maurizio Gucci, heir to the famous, fabulous fashion dynasty, had been ambushed, slain on the steps to his office by an unknown gunman. 2 years later, Milan's chief of police entered the sumptuous palazzo of Maurizio's ex-wife, Patrizia Reggiani, nicknamed the Black Widow by the press, and arrested her for the murder. Did Patrizia kill her ex-husband because his spending was wildly out of control? Did she do it because he was preparing to marry his mistress? Or is it possible Patrizia didn't do it at all? So that's The House of Gucci by Sarah Gay Forden. Now, Sarah Gay Forden is a journalist who covered the Italian fashion industry from Milan for more than 15 years, chronicling the explosion of labels including Gucci, Armani, Versace, Prada, and Ferragamo, from family ateliers into mega brands. The House of Gucci is now a major major motion picture. So the lady, Sarah Gay Forden, that wrote The House of Gucci, is doing it from a point of view of her experience of that industry and the people and the country is probably second to none. And I understand that the movie, The House of Gucci, is well worth a watch. But that book sounds really good, which is the basis of that movie. So anyway, so there we are. That's the end of the first segment of our library, during which I gave you a very brief resume of the précis of some of the books being introduced into the library in the coming months around the Wairarapa and all the libraries in Wairarapa. I'll have a brief music interlude right now, and when we come back I'll talk about some of the books that I've been reading, which I hope you'll find interesting. Now this is Fleetwood Mac with You Make Loving Fun. So bear with me. Hi, welcome back. Or if you've just tuned in, my name is Steve Lillyston and you're tuned in to Our Library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the lovely people at the libraries all around Wairarapa to let you know about some of the books, some of the new books coming into the library in the coming months, and also to talk about some of the programs that are on offer at the libraries around Wairarapa. So in the first segment of the program, I covered some of the new fiction that's now available at your library. Get in quick and order it, reserve it. And also I've talked about some of the new non-fiction that's just come in. So now in this second half of our library, I've also talked about some of the programs as well. Now in this part of our library, I'd like to go over some of the books that I've been reading, which I hope you'll find just a little bit interesting. So here we go. During the past month, since the last show, I've read the, I normally say read or try to read, but I've read the following 5 books. The first up was Loop Tracks. This is by Sue Orr, a local writer, or local Wellington area writer, lives in Wellington. And it was the Wairarapa Library Services Evening Book Club selection. So I talked about that earlier on. The Evening Book Club meets on the first Wednesday each month via Zoom. Check your library to get more details. Now, Loop Tracks. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a great book. Set in Wellington, and it covered issues like abortion and COVID, because it's very topical, but it flicked backwards and forwards, and it talked about abortion back in 1978, where it was illegal to get an abortion. You had to go to Australia or somewhere else, certainly not New Zealand, and the stigma that was attached to people, that the young girls or any girl that was having a child out of wedlock. So the hoops that they had to go through to have a child in those days, fascinating. And then it jumps to the modern day, and it's about relationships, about COVID, and other things. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a very good read. And that's Sue Orr, local writer. That's Loop Tracks. Loop Tracks. Another one I read, which is called Hurdy-Gurdy. This is by Christopher Wilson. Never read any of his stuff before. I've never read any of Sue Orr's stuff either, so that was good. This novel, Hurdy-Gurdy, is set in 1349, the year of the plague, and it's about a novice friar. He's part of an order, and he's the only one spared. All the other friars die of the plague. So he goes into the outside world. He's never been in the outside world before, and now he goes into the outside world that's ravaged by plague. So it was an interesting story just from that point of view, to go out and that long ago. I mean, 1349, centuries ago. Just a fascinating read of life in those days, and also talking about the plague, which we've got our own plague, haven't we? So I guess it's sort of topical as well. So that's Hurdy-Gurdy by Christopher Wilson. I'm looking forward to reading some more of his work. I also read Strange Flowers. This is by Donal Ryan, and that's Donal, no D, an Irish writer, Donal Ryan. I've read 4 of his works before and enjoyed them all, and this one as well. This was set in Ireland. 20-year-old Moll disappears from her home, fears for her life, not seen again, so everybody assumes she's dead. She turns up 5 years later with a surprise, which will change all their lives. Now, I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, but it's just a lovely read, and it covers issues like No, I won't get into that. That will spoil it too. But it's about relationships, mothers, parents and their children, and it's very Irish as well. So that was lovely. I love the Irish novels. So that was Strange Flowers by Donald Ryan. Then I read The Wish by Nicholas Sparks. For a complete change of pace. Nicholas Sparks, very light, lovely novels. They're just fun to read. They're all about relationships, love, and so on. They're just nice stories that he writes. You don't have to do a lot of thinking. It's good for a change of pace if you've been reading something heavy, to read a Nicholas Sparks. He's fun. I like him a lot. So this one deals with abortion, relationships, cancer. It's set in North Carolina, Seattle, and New York. So sort of cover all bases there. But it's a lovely read. The Wish by Nicholas Sparks. And the one I just finished today is called Spill, Simmer, Falter, Wither. It's like spring, summer, autumn, winter. Spill, simmer, falter, wither. And this is by Sarah Baum, Baume. And she's a new Irish writer for me. I've never read any of her works before. Very unusual style. It's written in the first person by a very odd person. You assume he's got Asperger's or something similar, slightly autistic. And a very unusual, very odd person. He's got a very odd dog. His dog's got one eye, and he got it from the dog pound. And they're two odd beings that live together. I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about that. I sort of enjoyed it, but I found it dragged being in the first person, written by an autistic, very strange man. But I finished it, and at no point did I want to put it down, so I suppose it was a success from that point of view. I'd be inclined to want to read some more of her work just to see what else she can do. So that's Spill, Simmer, Falter, Wither, and that's by Sarah Baum, Baume. Very sad. I thought it was quite sad, but enjoyable overall, I guess. Yeah. Now, the book I'm currently reading, I just started today, is called Free, and subtitled Coming of Age at the End of History. And this is by Lee Yippee, I think. I'm not sure if that's the right pronunciation. Lee YPI. And it's an evening book club choice. So we'll be reading it now and discussing it online via Zoom, the online book evening book club. It's on the first Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock. And I can't remember much about it. I should have written a little write-up. I can't remember much about it now. But I'll be talking about that next month anyway. So that's all I have for you guys this month. That's it from me. I'm Steve Lillyston. This was Our Library, which is a 60-minute program sponsored by the lovely folk at the libraries from all around Wairarapa to let you know about some of the many new books being introduced into the library in the coming months, the fiction and non-fiction, as well as I talked about some of the programs that are on offer at the libraries, which I hope you found interesting. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please tune in for our next broadcast of Our Library on Friday, March 18th at 3:30 on Arrow 92.7 FM, your community radio access channel, and Wairarapa TV on Freeview Channel 41. Until then, happy reading. Bye-bye.